Alright guys, and welcome back to a second episode in Kerbal Space Program. I actually just finished recording the first one, but I've got some time, so I figured we'd do a second one here. So, watch the first video. We're gonna kind of get into some more complex stuff this video and go from there. Hey Valencia. Resume save. Wolfsjoint. Alright, so the flight of the Prometheus 1 rocket went pretty well, actually. It got up to about 60,000 meters. Not the best, but not bad for a first attempt. So let's go and take a look at the Prometheus 1 rocket. We went ahead and unlocked some new things, so let's go ahead and rework the booster stage here. So we have some bigger fuel tanks, which means it's going to take less part count, which is good. And you can see now we have two liquid rockets. We have the Reliant rocket and the Swivel rocket. The Swivel has a feature called Gimbal, if you can see that kind of here in the middle of the screen. This means that the nozzle of the engine can move to steer the ship. So we're going to put that one on here. Alright, did we unlock anything in science? We did not. We still don't have much in utilities. Oops. But we can throw a couple extra parachutes on here, just in case. I wonder what the crash tolerance is of this. Oh, okay, so we're fine. So the crash tolerance of part is how fast it can be going when it hits the ground for it to survive. This parachute will slow us down to about 9 meters per second. This has a crash tolerance of 14, so that should be fine. And I don't really see anything else. Let's go ahead and add some fins. Zoom out here so that they are going the right way. Let's make you larger. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Are there any other changes we can make? Oh, but not really. So that's gonna be our starting place. We're gonna name this the Prometheus Rocket Mark II. I'm gonna go ahead and save it, and let's go. Same staging as before, so we'll just kind of see how this one goes. Gonna go ahead and turn on SAS. It's a beautiful day for a rocket launch. We've got our Chatterer mod on, giving us some frequent interlude into the radio communications between Control and Valencia in the capsule. And let's go ahead and launch. So we're not going anywhere right now, which means that the thrust isn't high enough to lift the ship. So let's go ahead and increase the throttle. And there we go. So we don't need that much. Great. Alright, once we get up to about 500 meters, we're going to go ahead and pitch over by less than 5 degrees just to start the gravity turn here. That's the wrong way. Let's do it this way. Get used to using the nav marker. It's really going to help you out a lot. Learning what all the lines mean, it's really invaluable to doing this. The Prometheus Mark II rocket is traveling at a speed of 175 meters per second. It's about halfway through the lower atmosphere. 17.5 science from the material science. The Prometheus 2 is traveling at a speed of 340 meters per second, approaching Mach 1. We're going to go ahead and continue to pitch over a little bit more here. We don't want to do it too much, otherwise the aerodynamic forces will force the rocket apart. So you need to stay pretty near your prograde marker when you're inside the atmosphere. So we're at an altitude of 18,000 meters, traveling at a speed of 590 meters per second, 22.5 science from the material study. We're going to go ahead and pitch over to about 45 degrees here and try and get some distance out of the launch. We currently have an apoapsis of 65,000 meters, which is a little bit better than last time. Traveling at a speed of 970 meters per second, probably about 5 or 6 kilometers downrange and gaining speed. Got an orbital velocity of 1,300 meters per second, so we're not going to make it to orbit, but you know, we're gonna make it a fair bit farther than we did. We're actually going to get to space. Okay, so the stage has run out of fuel. We'll go ahead and separate the command pod from the booster stage. Let that one just fall back into the atmosphere, and we'll go ahead and aim ourselves prograde. Relatively prograde, anyway. And here we are. Now, some of you guys who have played Kerbal Space Program before be like, well, Wolf, I know that you can, yes, fly above the atmosphere. You like the music change? So take the material studies and the mystery goo observation. Remember, all this is in the service bay right now. You can open this up and see everything, but we're almost, I think we're out of experiments to do. Anyway, so those of you who played Kerbal Space Program before are probably going like, well, Wolf, I know you can get out of the capsule and take EVA reports when you're above each biome, and well, yes, you can, but you need to upgrade the administrative building first, or the astronaut complex, so that you have suits, and unfortunately, we are much more concerned about making sure we can get the higher part count in the vehicle assembly building right now. So Valentia Kerman is currently in space. Let's take a look and see what her command console would say about everything here. So we have an apoapsis of 120 kilometers, currently at an altitude of 105, so we're going to be heading downrange soon. There's our nav ball. Once the program marker passes the artificial horizon here is when we will be traveling down as opposed to up. Now, we could go ahead and warp through some of this, just to kind of speed it up here. Okay, it'll automatically send you back to you know, no time warp once you enter the atmosphere again. Now, we're going a little bit faster this time, so the re-entry effect should be a little bit more interesting to watch. So we're coming down now. Re-entry effect should start around 30,000 meters. 40,000 meters in altitude, and now you can see the re-entry effects. So we're just trying to keep ourselves prograde that will keep all of the force and the heat from the re-entry on the heat shield. So, kind of see it go down and we're going to be fine. Remember, we're going to pop our parachute and disconnect the heat shield at about 3,000 kilometers or so to make sure we have enough time to slow down. Currently at an altitude of 11,000 meters and falling at a rate of 400 meters per second. Altitude 8,200 meters and falling. Could go ahead and turn off the SAS, point ourselves straight up. Mark 5,000 meters in altitude. Currently traveling at 190 meters per second. And we're going to pop it at 3,000 meters and mark. Oh, wow. Well, that was interesting. At least the heat shield survived, right? The decoupler speed must have been too high. Well, that sucks. Let's go ahead and just go to the Space Center. Oh, gotta wait for this thing to fall. Sort of curious as to what caused that myself. I should just be able to disconnect it. Maybe I should do the parachute and then disconnect this. Not my proudest moment. So we have lost Valencia Kerman, which means we're going to need to hire a new pilot. It's a tragic accident in Kerbal history. It's the Prometheus 2 rocket. The command module exploded upon re-entry, killing the astronaut inside. All in the name of advancement. But you survived. Not that you're worth anything. At least I'll get some money from you. Alright. So we did get some money from, like, getting to orbit and what have you, but, yeah, we lost the rocket, we lost the astronaut, which is very sad. So we're gonna have to do this again. Let me change the staging. So that's the parachute, and that should take care of any other issues. And we're just gonna have to launch again. But we're gonna need a pilot. Well, I guess Bill, you're gonna have to do. We're sending our engineer up. We need all the money we can get to upgrade the vehicle assembly building. So this one we're gonna have to fly freehand. Bill is an engineer and not a pilot, so he's counting on us here at the Space Center to get him up and get him home. We're gonna try flying the other way, though. It takes more energy to go the other way than the way the Earth is currently rotating. This is something to keep in mind. This is just as an example. We're not gonna get near as high as we did last time. So we're starting to see Mach effects, altitude 6,000 meters, currently going a speed of 370 meters per second. About 1 kilometer downrange, altitude 10,000 meters, 2 kilometers downrange, currently traveling at a speed of 440 meters per second. We're going to take a crew report here. It's actually pretty aerodynamically sound, just past 15,000 meters in altitude, currently traveling at a speed of 600 meters per second, probably 5-7 kilometers downrange. Currently traveling at a speed of 775 meters per second with an altitude of 22,000 meters, and we're starting to experience re-entry effects, so we're going to throttle back a little bit. Currently traveling at a speed of 1,000 meters per second. Go ahead and grab our other materials study for a value of 22.5 science. Currently traveling at a speed of 1,200 meters per second with an altitude of 40,000. Now you see our parachute's almost overheating there. We needed to throttle way down to make sure it didn't blow up. We need that to land. So we're going to go ahead and decouple. It's going to be a little hard to control this guy since we don't have SAS. So we're just going to kind of speed along here and see what happens. Take a mystery goo observation from 70,000 meters. And we're currently heading down now. Kind of speed us along here. Now we need to stay near this prograde marker. It's pretty important, actually. We're going to start to see re-entry effects soon. Oh god. Okay. Heat shield is working as predicted, currently traveling at a rate of 1100 meters per second, current altitude 15,000 meters mark. And it looks like we might actually land on the desert here if we get lucky. That'd be cool to grab a biome. Alright, we're just leaving Mach effects. We are now traveling at subsonic speed. Let's go ahead and deploy the parachute. And speed along. And we're traveling at 7.4 meters per second with the parachute fully deployed, which means we should be fine when we land. Remember that the service bay has a crash tolerance of 14 meters per second. We're actually going to splash down. Alright dude, you're gonna need to... Oh, it's gonna take forever. Go ahead and grab your EVA report, we'll recover you. Actually, unless there's a way for me to get back inside you, I would love to just recover you all at the same time here. Alright, so we'll go ahead and recover Bill Kerman, who successfully landed to the tragic death of Valencia Kerman. We will put a memorial to her somewhere at the Space Center. And let's go ahead and go to our tracking station and recover the rest of the second Prometheus 2 rocket. I really needed flight control. Okay. Alright, let's go ahead and hold on to the science for now. Clear these out. Let's take a look at our contracts. We have zero contracts. So we'll take a test and we'll see what we can do to just launch a third Prometheus 2 rocket, maybe with some more fuel tanks. We'll have to take a look at the limitations where we currently are. It's currently at 15 parts. There we go. That should give us a little bit more of a boost there. Everything there looks fine. We want to test these out because that was part of the contract. You see that the contract parts, so the parts that you need to test, will show up in blue and be available. They're usually at a higher tech than you're currently at, but that'll give us some stability so we're not resting on the engine. And we want to make sure to set those to stage by themselves, have the engine go off, then the launch stabilizers disconnect so that the machine can fly. And I guess we just go again. So this is the third Prometheus 2 rocket. I believe this is also being flown by Bill Kerman. So go ahead and let the engine come up to speed here. Disconnect the stabilizers. Oh, we're almost too heavy. Oh god, I hit the wrong keyboard button. It'll be fine. We can make this work. Oh god. And this is why you have pilots fly your rockets. This is also why I'll be using MechJeb here soon. Wonder if there's a... Nope, can't do it while I'm flying. Okay, so I think we're gonna... Well... Yeah, I mean... Yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to make this work. We're getting ready to pass Mach 2, which means we're going to start to get, yeah. Well, we'll see what we can do. Why not? Oh. Oh, that was rough. Well, so the Prometheus 2 rocket is not the most reliable of rockets. One successful launch out of 3. I'm just going through and setting the science alert to grab everything that's not 90% collected. I don't want to have them pop up all the time, but if there's, 2 or 3 science to be had, I am more than happy to go ahead and grab them. Well, Bill, at least you survived. The unsuccessful launch of the Prometheus 2 rocket. Bound to happen at some point. Right? No, I get you, Bill. I understand. Getting ready to slash down here at 5.9 meters per second. Let's see if there's an EVA report to actually be had after the capsule calms down. 5.6 science, that'll be enough to get the one I need. So we'll go ahead and recover the capsule. We should be able to see it from the Space Center. That'll unlock another part for us, which should make this all a fair bit easier. And there's what's left. Nice. Alright, so we're going to go in here into R&D. Flight control's what we want. And let's try the Prometheus rocket one more time, and we'll call that episode number 2. So we're going to add one thing here. We have the part count for it. This is the autopilot I was talking about. And we can do the same thing with this. We're going to... Oh god. You need to be bigger. You need to be smaller. There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and close that. Now we'll run through kind of what the modules do. Now we are going to want to upgrade one building. So here the Mark II V2. Mark II... I don't know what happened. I think my thing stopped recording for some reason. So we've saved that. Let's go ahead and back out, and we're going to upgrade the tracking center. We are going to need that to make full use of the autopilot. Unfortunately, it costs $150,000. So let's go ahead and launch this one. Oh, yep. We've already tested the stabilizer, so we don't need that anymore, apparently. Now you can see this new tab on the right. The first one is Ascent Guidance. This is how it's going to get you to space. So we're looking at an orbit of, say, let's make that 80 kilometers. Engage autopilot and stage. Now the autopilot will, correct steering for you, keep the angle of attack, which is the direction your vessel is going compared to the direction that like your trajectory is heading. So it's going to keep that to less than 5%. It's going to limit our acceleration to 80% until we're out of the lower atmosphere, so we don't get a Sorry about that. That's sort of odd. And okay. So in our ascent path, this is the thing that's going to get you to orbit. Most people say it's going to take you about 4,500 delta V, and that's delta V is the way to say the ability to change in velocity. That's how you measure fuel. So this rocket currently has a delta V of probably in the neighborhood about 4,000, so we should be able to get to orbit. Getting back might be tough, but it'll get us there. You can see we're using a turn shape of about 40%, which means that the turn start altitude is about 3.5 kilometers. As you can see, we're starting to head down range, and the turn should end right around 60 kilometers, at which point we'll just kind of go along at a level trajectory or a little bit sub-level trajectory down below the horizon to get us to where we need to go. So the Prometheus 2.2 rocket is traveling at a speed of 380 meters per second at an altitude of 13,000 meters. Currently in the stage of a gravity turn. Now you can see that the orbit's now blue, which means we can interact with it. God, OBS is just killing me right now. You could access, like, you can't see your fuel like the bar, but you can see it from here and how much you have left. We'll grab our crew report. Oh, there's no astronaut in here. Oops. We're doing all this by hand, I guess, an unmanned rocket launch. We don't have access to the crew report, but we'll see what happens. We have about... Yeah, okay. So we're going to disengage autopilot. We're going to bring up our smartass. So this is what aligns you. We're going to aim retrograde. I'm going to come back down here into the rocket itself. Once we're aimed retrograde, we are going to stage the rocket so that the booster sequence will be gone. Though we are going to use it to kill some of our velocity when we re-enter the atmosphere, I think. Actually, probably just go ahead and do it right here. We've got 16 seconds of fuel left. It should slow us down a bit and make the re-entry a little bit easier. Four seconds of fuel left. 3, 2, 1, and the out of fuel. So we're gonna go ahead and stage, and we'll just speed along here towards landing. You can see the booster stage falling at a much higher rate. We're going to start seeing re-entry effects. We'll grab another materials study on the way down, which is worth another 17.5 science. You can see that the re-entry effects didn't last long. We're currently still moving at supersonic speeds. Just coming down to Mach 1 now, and we just passed Mach 1. So let's go ahead and launch that. Going to disable the SAS and just let this guy land. Our unmanned command cabs. I'm not gonna lie, the crew reports would have been nice, but wouldn't have been as much science as the material study. We need to get a reliable rocket before we start sending our astronauts up into space. They cost like $60,000 each, so you know how that goes. Got an altitude of about 2,000 meters, traveling at a speed of 223 meters per second. You see the parachute just deployed. We're falling at a speed of, that's our orbit velocity. We want our surface velocity 7.4 meters per second. We should land here shortly. Well, guys, thanks for watching the second episode in the series. We'll kind of get on to some more interesting things here, and hopefully we'll make it to orbit in the third episode. We should be able to now. I'm just lazy and don't want to do the rocket equations to figure out the delta V without it just being automatically calculated for me. So now that we have it, it should make things a little bit easier. And splash down. Let's grab our last material study for another 10 science, and go ahead and recover this thing. $56 science, which means we can get another technology. Basic electronics would be good. Has some more science, temperature gauge there, as well as batteries. Those really don't have anything. The new engine mounts would be nice. But yeah, I think we take that one. That way we can start working on having a second stage to our single stage rocket. And we'll kind of go from there, guys. Well, thanks for watching. Hopefully we don't kill anybody else, and we'll see y'all next time.